Amazing. Welcome, everyone. Hello, hello.
Hi.
Welcome. Fantastic. Everyone's joining us here. Great to see everyone. So good. You can have your video on if you like. We love being able to see your faces. You will notice you are muted. You don't have to have your video on. That's totally fine, but it's always nice we can see you. It's fantastic. So definitely encouraging you there as well. The recording that we're doing is just recording Riri, myself, and Alana. So you won't be in the recording. You're all good. Fantastic. Welcome, welcome. Hey, just as we're joining here, would love everyone to share in the chat two things. So one of them is where in the world you are right now. And the second thing is what you do. So if you can just share in the chat, that would be fantastic, just as we get underway and wait for a couple more people to join us there. So just sharing in the chat where you are in the world and also what you do and what you do creatively. It's up to you really what you share within those things as well. We are super excited about this webinar we're going to be running today. We've got lots of good things planned. I'll be hearing a bit from all three of us, and I'll be running a big training around creative business tips as well, which is going to be fantastic. So, look, one of the things I love here is just seeing that people are literally all over the world. That's what we tend to see when we have these webinars. So we've already got some people in the US, Canada, amazing. Toronto as well there, designer, Sophie sharing in Brooklyn, New York, Liz in Austin, Texas. Hey Liz, fantastic, fantastic. And others that are just joining us, pop into the chat where you are in the world and what you do creatively. Some of you might be like, I don't know what I do creatively. You could write what you would like to do creatively, and up to you how you define creatively as well. So amazing. We're seeing some other people popping into the chat there as well. So have a look, because it's always good to see where people are at. And what exactly people are doing. Amazing. All right, so we're going to get underway. To get started, I'm going to hand over to Riri to do her introduction, and we'll go from there. Over to you, Riri.
Hi everyone, I'm Riri. I'm a designer and lettering artist based in San Diego, and I worked with Logan for 3 months initially, and then did the accelerator program for 9 months. It really helped grow my creative business, go from $100, a couple $100 to up to 5 figures now. So it was really great working with him.
Amazing. And we'll go over to Alana next.
Hey, everybody. I'm Alana McCarthy. I'm an illustrator from Toronto. I have 20 years experience. I do illustration for editorial, marketing, advertising work. I do lettering, picture books, book covers. Basically, being in business so long, I ended up just plateauing. So I hit a point where I really wanted to level up my business. So I decided to work with Logan and his team. And now I am happy to announce that I am officially a six-figure creative, which I never dreamed possible. So thank you so much, Logan. Back to you.
Amazing. Hey, so good and great to be on this webinar all here together. Now, I know there's people that are joining this webinar that have been following Alana or Riri or myself, some for a little amount of time, some for a lot of time. So look, the training we're going to be running today is really all around how to grow your creative business. So we can see Riri and Alana were both actually at quite different points when we started working together. So Riri was early in her career, had a full-time job, was really wanting to move away from that and grow it. Whereas Alana was like, I've actually been doing this for quite a while. And that's typically what we see. So look, I'm just going to give a brief introduction to myself, and then we're going to dive into this training and really talk about how we actually helped Alana, Riri, and tips for you all as well. They're going to really help you all move forward. So look, my background is that I am a New Zealander. Those of you that don't know me, haven't heard my voice before, might be like, where's that funny accent from? So I am from New Zealand originally. Fun fact, New Zealanders are often known as Kiwis. Not because of the fruit, because of the bird. There is a flightless bird in New Zealand called a kiwi, native to New Zealand. It's an endangered species. It can't fly. It's very, very cute. They're these little brown birds. They're amazing. So that's actually where the name kiwi comes from. But kiwi fruit is actually something that is also grown in New Zealand, native to New Zealand. So there's a little fun fact for you all today. Look, my background is that I had my own creative business for 11 years in the live event space in New Zealand. Creative performers, dancers, actors, pyrotechnics, fire, a lot of outrageous and highly creative stuff that we did. I ran that business for 11 years. Now, very early on in my creative career, I also studied business. So I studied a creative business master's, and that's something that I really learned a ton about entrepreneurship and business. After that, I basically leaned more into helping others. So I started teaching, coaching, facilitating, primarily for universities across New Zealand, as well as public programs. I was basically doing that teaching stuff next to running my own creative business for years. And eventually what happened in around 2015 was I saw a big demand for people who were like, I don't need to go to university, Logan, but I do need help with the business side of my visual creative business. So that's where I developed my own programs and mentoring as a bit of a part-time thing that I did as well, with individuals. That sort of grew over the years. And then eventually when I sold my creative company, I went full-time helping people to grow their businesses under this fun brand called Flammable Entrepreneur. So look, that's a bit about myself. I also run retreats as well, which is super fun. The people we work with, I actually represented right here with Riri and Alana today. So look, group one we work with are like, hey, I have a day job. I want to leave it. I'm doing a little bit of creative work on the side. Some people have toxic day jobs. Some people are like, well, it's not toxic. I'm just kind of over it and I want to do something more creative, have more freedom, earn more flexibility, creative freedom, all of those good things. And we help them to do that. The other people are like, hey, I'm already full-time. Some people have been doing it for 6 months full-time. Some have been doing it for 10 years full-time, and they want to take their business to the next level, often reduce overwhelm, and make sure they're working with the type of clients they want to work with, and all of those good things there. Look, we also work with a third group of people, and they are people with over 10,000 followers. About 10% of people we work with have larger followings, some up to 100,000, 200,000. Most people don't, right? Most people don't actually have those huge, crazy, amazing followings. Most people work with have less than 10,000 followers. So that's a bit of a fast forward version intro of Logan. So those that don't know me have now a bit of a reference. Look, the other thing, you may have seen this on emails or where you sign up for this, is that I am giving away 3 freebie coaching calls with me. And that's a really cool thing. It's a 30-minute call. We're going to give 3 away with me, and then we're going to get a bunch of extra 15 minutes calls on with Paul on my team. So Paul is creative business specialist on my team. So we're going to give a bunch of extra calls away there as well. Look, if that's something that you find interesting, you'd love to get on a call, chat, share some ideas, hear some tips and strategies, I would love you to pop open this link. I'm sharing it directly in the chat here now. This is a direct link to a survey that we'd love you to fill in. We'll then pick people from the survey to get on 30-minute calls and 15-minute calls with Paul as well. It's an amazing survey to do. A lot of people get a lot from just filling the survey in. It takes 5 to 10 minutes. It's really about fleshing out where you're at within your business and what you need. And you're going to learn a bunch from it. And then obviously potential to, get on a call with us, and maybe even potential to end up working with us if there's an alignment there as well, which is fantastic. So that's a bit of an overview there. Celeste from our team would be the one that will email you. So keep an eye out for an email from Celeste if you are, picked as someone to jump on one of those freebie calls as well. Amazing. All right. We're going to jump into things because this is really a training about taking your business to the next step. So we called this, we had a call and thought, what are we going to call this call? And creative business tips, it's pretty general, but it's really about the things that people struggle with the most. So I've worked with hundreds of visual creatives, and I've seen there's lots of trends of the stuff that people struggle with. Everyone's different, of course, right? So some people, it's different things that they're struggling with. For most people, it's pretty similar. So today what we're going to do is we're going to be covering 6 key things that I see that people struggle with, and sharing some tips and strategies around them as well. And Riri and Alana are both going to share some thoughts from their journeys around, just to give us some reflection points there as well, which is good. So make sure you've got a pen and pad ready or somewhere to write on your computer or your phone to take notes, because we're going to be sharing some really good gems today as well. We will have time for Q&A at the end. Some people have already sent questions through to us, which is great. And then we'll get others sharing questions in the chat that they have for 3 of us or 1 of us, and we'll be able to help you out there. All right, so let's jump in. The first one is really around what is the biggest challenge we see in growing a creative business, right? What is the biggest challenge, right? There's lots of challenges. We all know that. It's hard, but I get to talk to lots of people. We work with a lot of visual creatives. Yes, we work with people who are at slightly different stages of their journey, but we often see similarities. And the biggest thing that I see is that people struggle with the business side of their creative business. That's basically the overarching thing that I really see. is that actually it's the business stuff. Some people are like, oh, I don't want to hear that, Logan, the business stuff. Oh, that's boring, that's hard, it's difficult. Look, most of the time, that's the thing in people's way. And what's interesting about that, it's often not the thing that people realize is in their way. So I have conversations with people and I'm like, oh, what do you think's in the way? And most people, well, not most, but a lot say, I don't think my creative skills are up to a standard yet where I can have a sustainable, profitable business doing what I love. Or I've got to keep working on the creative skills and abilities. And I then look at the work and I know from the work of people we've worked with before, I look at their work and I'm like, your work's fantastic. There's no problems there. Yes, sometimes it's how you apply that different knowledge and the creative skills. It's the business stuff. What tends to happen is that the business stuff for most creative people tends to be outside of the comfort zone. Right. So as soon as it gets hard and difficult and scary, what do? We all go back into our comfort zone, which for many people we work with, that looks like their creative skill sets. I'm struggling, the business isn't working, I'm struggling to make this work. Okay, well, I need to get better at the craft. I need to learn another creative skill. I need to get better at this skill here. I need to jump on Illustrator, Photoshop, or something there to grow, because that's the natural area. That's an easier area to lean into because it's more comfortable. Actually, what we see is you need to learn into the discomfort, the hard stuff, the stuff outside of your comfort zone, which is actually something that a lot of people struggle with. And I can see Brittany already sharing in the chat there, always calling me out. I think a lot of people, when I share this, feel a bit called out. They're like, yeah, the business stuff is hard and I'm avoiding it. So it's good to notice this stuff. It's really about balancing that. I sometimes call it the boring business stuff and the creative side. And we're going to talk more today about this because it is a hard balance. A lot of people are like, I just don't have time to do the creative stuff and work with the clients and also the business stuff and also learn and grow, right? So we're going to talk about balancing these things. Part of it is not just working harder, faster, stronger. It's being smarter about what you work on and how you approach these things. Most people, if we talk about marketing, most people can't spend 20 hours a week on marketing their creative business, even if that was something that would be helpful. No, most people have a small amount of time and they're not crazy about it. They're like, oh, the marketing stuff, I don't want to spend lots of time. Therefore, any time you spend, we want to make sure it's on the right marketing stuff. Right? We hear, oh, you have to be everywhere when it comes to marketing. I do not believe that. No, we need to focus our efforts. Once again, something we'll dig into a little bit more. Alana, would love to hear your thoughts around this in terms of the challenge and balancing that creative and business side from your journey.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Well, I found when I was in your program, my point coach, Lauren, we always had agreed actions every 2 weeks. And that was all the stuff that I would normally back burner, like marketing stuff, like all those scary things you talked about, right? So having these forced, accountable, agreed actions every 2 weeks that I had to check off my list really started to move my business forward, because it's things I'm like, oh, I'm doing this project, I'll put it off till next month. And yeah, no, you have to do it. And it definitely led to growth in my business.
Oh, I love it. And it's so good just being able to hear like experiences within this stuff, because this is the real deal. This is, it's great to talk about this stuff and share ideas, but actually see real experiences. Hey, I'm going to keep moving through the training and jumping to the next point. We're just going to take a quick pause because I would love everyone to share their Instagram links in here. So I'm going to share mine. I would love you to grab the URL. Please don't share the @ tag because no one can click on that. I want everyone to drop the URL. So you go to literally open up your browser, go to your Instagram, copy that link, drop it in here, and then you can actually follow everyone here, because part of building business is connecting with community as well. And Alana and Riri are going to share their links. We all really want to connect with you all. We'll make sure we follow you all as well, and we can get connected that way as well. So if everyone on the call can drop their link in, that would be great. And then go through and click everyone else's and see who's here today and get to know some other people. It's such an important part of growing a business is the community side. And we're going to talk more about that today as well. Amazing. All right, so we're going to jump into a really interesting thing next, which is around what I call a valuable offering. Sometimes we call it a premium offering. Sometimes we call it a high ticket offering. All we're really talking about is something that is a higher price point. Now, what does that even mean? I love giving people a reference point. What we're talking about is something that you can sell for $300 or euros or relevant currencies plus, right? So it's something that you charge more than 300 for. And we're aware we've got people from around the world. We're generally talking about $300 US. So we can work out the equivalents in Canadian dollars as well. I think it might be around 400 Canadian dollars at the moment. And, obviously equivalents in euros. It's a rough marker. What we basically see is that everyone who's wanting to grow a creative business needs to have offerings in that realm. And some people are like, but why? Right? No, I love the products, Logan. I really want to do the Etsy stores, and I really want to sell stickers and prints and these things here. Now, I'm not saying you can't do those things. They can certainly be part of the business. But from working with a lot of people, we've really seen the best way to get to your dreams and goals is going to be by having what we call these valuable offerings as well. So, it's something that like people are like, okay, that's interesting, Logan, but why? I'll be really upfront about it. It's a total numbers game, and we're going to do the numbers game briefly. What we see is that you really need to be earning $5,000 per month to really make this a sustainable business, ideally moving towards 10K per month as soon as possible. But we need to get it to 5K as soon as possible, and then 10K consistently. And then some people want to go beyond that as well, right? We've worked with clients who do 20, 30K per month as well, and that's fantastic. But for most people, it really looks like, let's get things to 5K. If we do some numbers on that, if you're selling stuff for $5, kind of simple maths, but we all forget this, $5, if we want to make $5,000, we need to sell 1,000 of these things every single month, again and again and again. Now, if it's a $5 sticker, if it's a lower ticket item, that's a lot. That's a lot every single month. It's a ton, right? So sometimes it's hard to imagine these numbers. Now, what if it was $50? Right? Okay, we need to sell 100 per month. 100 per month is still a lot. Selling 100 every single month of something that's $50. And by the way, this is not taking into account any cost, right? Cost of product. If it's prints and you have to print them, or it's the stickers and you're managing them. If you have inventory, if you have costs there, that's taken off this. What if you had a $500 offering? Well, you could sell 10 of them per month, and that's your $5,000. Suddenly those numbers become a bit more easier to imagine, right? What about $5,000? You could sell one per month. One client per month, $5,000. Amazing. A lot easier. It's a numbers game. So this is why we tend to say you really need to have stuff that's available for $300 plus. And that's a minimum, by the way, right? We've got clients who have things for $500, $1,000, $2,000, lots of different areas within this. It doesn't always tend to be client work, but often it is more client-based, commission-based, working with organizations. There's always exceptions to all of that, but that's often what we see. It is a bit of a numbers game. The other thing that we see is that, the lower ticket offers are just more competitive, right? If we talk about how many people are selling prints or on print on demand stores, or even with Etsy stores, it's very, very competitive. It's incredibly competitive. These markets, yes, they're big and there's lots of opportunities, but they're also very, very competitive. So that's something to think about as well. I think some people feel quite discouraged when I share this, and it's really about, we in our programs, we take what I call a percentage approach. So we're like, hey, we're not saying you can't have the lower ticket offering, right? You totally can. That's fantastic. But it's about making sure that what you're building is going to help you towards the goals that you have. And if those goals are earn 5 to 10K per month, the stickers, the prints are not going to be the thing that's going to get there. And we need to get realistic about that. How about you spend 10 to 30% of your time on that? And it's kind of a rough figure here for people to think about is maybe think about 70% of the energy on the higher ticket and maybe 30% on those lower priced items. Now, there's variations within this, right? So some people it's 10%, some people it's 50-50. There's lots of different ways there. But generally, people want to have 80% of these lower ticket items and maybe a little bit of client work. And they're like, my business is failing and not working. Why is that? Well, it's because we need to flip those numbers around to do that. So, we'd love to hear your thoughts, Riri, from your experiences around this, because this is definitely something you learned a ton about in the program as well.
Yeah, so I learned about offering premium offerings, and when I learned about it, I was also like, whoa, what is this? But then I actually managed to do my first premium offering for a branding client that I recently had, and I was really surprised that she actually took it. And it was definitely a lot higher than a lot of other things that I offer, but it really was such an eye-opening kind of experience where, oh, maybe this is something that I need to do. And I feel like it also makes you stand out. Like there's a lot of freelancers out there, right? So if you have like a premium offering, I feel like it makes you stand out. What makes you different when you offer something like that? Um, yeah, I think that was like a really eye-opening experience that I recently had. So that was great.
I love it. And it's so interesting, like when we really look at the realities of what this is. Now, some people like they say to me, like, by the way, we work with mostly illustrators, graphic designers, muralists. We have people in other areas of visual creative as well. They're the core areas. And sometimes people say to me or to our team, like, oh, client work, I don't want to do that. I've got a job where I do that in my day job, or like I've had terrible clients in the past. I don't want to do that. And sometimes what we've got to do is just dig in a little bit into, well, what are the reasons? Because there's a block there. And it's really interesting. Often the reasons are there was no boundaries in place with those clients, or they had a toxic day job. So it wasn't the work that they didn't enjoy. It was part of the process or the people that they worked with. We were like, well, what if you had lovely clients that appreciated you and loved what you did, and you were charging those higher amounts? Would that make a difference? And actually, most people, when we really dig into it and coach them through that, are like, yeah, that makes sense. Okay, I'm totally open to that. So it's quite interesting. Some people, I'm not sure what that would look like. And we help people figure that out as well during that journey. Cool. Awesome. We're going to keep rolling through this. Next one we're going to talk about is a bit of a fun one, which is the importance of imperfect action. And I think this is something that creatives struggle with a lot, right? Is this idea of perfection, because we're putting our creative work out there into the world, and people are looking at it and they're analyzing it and they're judging it, and they might be like, oh, this is absolute rubbish. What is it? And that really, this creativity comes from the heart. So it can be really painful if people are going to criticize our work. So this is where part of that can come from, is that perfection mindset of making sure everything is perfect before releasing it into the world. And I'm talking about creatively and on the business side as well. So it's something that everyone we work with really struggles with the balance. I share a few thoughts around this because I think it's an incredibly important thing. The first thing is the idea of treating your business like you do the creative process. Right, so if you think about you learning what you do creatively, is there was an approach you took to it, which was, hey, I'm starting as a beginner and I'm going to get better, and I'm going to test things. I'm going to try things. I'm going to spill some stuff. I'm going to make a mess. I'm going to break some stuff. You actually need to apply the same thinking to business as well. And that's kind of scary to hear, but that's literally the approach that you need to take, which is learn, try things, experiment, break some stuff, get it wrong, right? Share an Instagram post that has a spelling mistake. Oh, you're never going to do that again. But if you didn't just have a go and share the post in the first place, you were never going to learn. Right. And in a year's time, no one's going to remember the fact that you made a terrible spelling mistake in something, or, your way that you approach clients was just like messy and wrong, or your website had the wrong information, whatever it is. Like, you actually taking imperfect action, making some mistakes and learning from that, you're going to move way quicker than waiting for the perfect moment, for the stars to magically align, for the perfect time to grow your business. And we hear this from people all the time. Oh, one day I would love to grow my business. One day I would love to start the business, but right now here's the thing in my way, and hopefully one day that'll change. And I'm like, hoping for something generally is not going to get you there. We need you to take imperfect action. It doesn't need to be big action. It can be small things. And this is often what we see in our programs. It's these small things that people are doing that are getting them towards that. And they look like our 3-month program. People look at the end of that 3 months and they're like, I can't believe how much action I took, even though I was trying to balance a lot in my life. Some people have day jobs, some people have children, families, and their business, lots to balance as well within that as well. So, it is such an important thing. And just noting, it's not necessarily going to feel natural. Just like what we talked about, before around the balance of the business and the creative side. When you're taking the imperfect action on the business side, it's going to feel strange. You're going to feel out of your depth. You're going to not feel like it's an easy process. It may not feel natural. You don't actually have to be like an expert marketer or like a math guru to have a really wildly successful creative business. But you probably need to be slightly better than where you are at the moment. That's what we tend to see. So sometimes I give a number, like we might say to people, hey, where do your skills around marketing look like out of 10? They're like, oh, I don't know, it's a 3. And I'm like, great, let's get you to a 4 or 5. You do not need to be a 9 or a 10 to be wildly successful. right? That's a really important part of it as well. And some people say to us, oh, I think I'm a 9. And then we're like, we've got to get honest here. You're not a 9. And they're like, oh, yeah, okay, maybe that's the thing in my way, in their way, is really thinking they're really good at something. And we've got to sometimes have those wake-up calls and really help them to see where they're at and then build them up. So, Alana, I would love to hear your perspectives around this stuff for yourself.
Yeah, for sure. Like I loved learning that done is better than perfect. Just forcing myself to take action and put things out there. Because it's, if you have a new artwork, it's not doing you any good on your hard drive, throw it out there onto social media and see what feedback you get. And, everybody's browsing their phones. Everything goes by so fast. Like, don't overthink things. Also, another big one for me was starting to do outreach to clients and writing emails, and you draft it over and over again and you want to perfect it. And, do I say it this way or that way? And just being like, no, you know what? I'm going to try it. I'm going to tweak it. And we just roll with it. Just keep moving. Right. And also taking small actions every single day and figuring out the one thing to make progress on every day, something that'll move your business forward. It really does add up over time. I couldn't believe when I looked back how much I had accomplished, and I never would have without this program.
I love that. It's a nice actually segue into our next point we're going to talk about. So we're going to jump straight into that, which is this idea of how to stay productive. Right? And Alana's already kind of referenced this because like everyone, like when we connect with people, we say like, what's the biggest challenge in your way? Like so many people put time as one of their big things in their way. Right? Like almost everyone we talk to is like, that's one of the biggest things in the way right now is time. Literally, there's not enough of it. Right? Can we double the time each week? Well, no, we can't do that. So we're going to talk about how to stay productive in your business, because time's actually probably always going to be a challenge for you, like it is most people. You're trying to balance stuff that could look like, for some people, a day job. It could look like clients they're already working with. It could look like family, right? It could look like other things in your life, other commitments, day jobs. There's all sorts of things that can look like. So what I tend to think about as a business is like a 10,000 piece puzzle, right? And maybe it's something you go do in your garage, right? You see those time-lapse videos on YouTube where they like people make their puzzle. I mean, a 10,000 piece puzzle probably takes a long time to make. I'm like maximum 2,000 piece puzzle over here. But like the idea is that building a business is like that puzzle, and that it's a lot of pieces. Like you can do so many things to move this business forward. There's 10,000 pieces. Well, what do you do? Because some are going to be more effective and efficient than others. And what tends to happen is you look at that 10,000 piece puzzle and you feel completely unproductive and unmotivated. And you just like, oh, well, I guess I'll start there. And you try some bits and you don't feel productive because you're not getting anywhere. So what we do know about the 10,000 piece puzzle as well, start with the parts that make sense. Start with the sides, right? And often in business, starting your own, growing your own creative business, you don't know which parts are the sides. So that's where you're just doing your best. So a few different tips around this stuff that we really help people with. One of them is to create really good boundaries around your work, because productivity is often related to the energy that you have and can add to your business. Now, if you are full-time in your business already, what that probably means is that you work all the time. You're up late, you try and work on weekends, and you're feeling pretty overwhelmed by it. And that's turning into times of not being productive, of feeling overwhelmed. You've got to actually create boundaries for yourself. And that may look like treating it like a 9-to-5 job, as in you have your business hours. Now, I understand the creative process doesn't always work 9 to 5, and that's okay, but actually putting boundaries on yourself as to when you're going to work and when you're not going to work is going to help your productivity as well. The other thing here, just referencing that 10,000 piece puzzle, is to make sure you're surrounding yourself with the people who can help you, the people who know where the sides are, the people who know that on a 10,000 piece puzzle, you put the pieces into piles of colors first, so you can actually make those pieces first. That's important. So for you, that might look like surrounding yourself with coaches, mentors, community, right? Having other creatives around you who have been through this, working with people who can show you the direction. That's why often people end up working with us, is because they don't want to try do a 10,000 piece puzzle themselves for the next 5 years. They want to do it much faster, quicker, smarter as well. So, it really comes down to the fact that building your business alone is going to feel very demotivating at times, and you're not going to feel productive either, because it's up to you, And that's actually, it's like, finally, I've got my freedom, right? I'm sure, you know, Riri, when you first got your freedom, you left your day job. It was like, yeah, I've got all this time. And then it's like, okay, I've now got to put the structure in place. Now got to have boundaries and these things here. So I'd love to hear your thoughts, Riri, in terms of that, particularly in that transition, or whatever you wanted to share around that productivity.
Yeah, so in terms of productivity, before I met Logan, I was kind of like all over the place. Like as a creative, I feel like everyone can relate to this, but you have all these ideas that you have that you want to do, but you get so overwhelmed by it. And that was definitely me. But the way I've been staying productive in my full-time freelance job is like having a list of tasks, whether that's like in Notion or like writing down on paper, like that's just really helped me. The list of that tasks that I need to do during the day or during the week that I need to accomplish. And something that I've been also seeing is that templates really help, right? You have a lot of admin stuff that you need to do while you're a freelancer. That could be like sending contracts, invoices, but having like pre-made templates where you can just input in all your information saves you a lot of time, even like outreach emails too.
I love it. It's such a great tip around the templates as well for everyone here too. So definitely a good thing to think about. Awesome. All right, we're going to keep moving forward. So next thing we're going to talk about is basically how to market what you do authentically, right? Because I think this is actually one of the biggest fears that people have. When they hear the word marketing, they're like, oh, yuck, right? Hear the word sales, oh, yuck, right? That's literally what most of our clients say and think is like, oh, marketing. I'm going to rebrand marketing, by the way. I'm attempting to do it. Not everyone's listening, but that's okay. We're going to call it sharing because that's literally all it is, right? It's sharing what you do in an authentic way. So I think we all hate the sales. We all hate being, getting phone calls from someone trying to sell us a vacuum cleaner that we don't need. Apologies to anyone that sells vacuum cleaners, but like, it's something that, we all hate those calls for things we don't need. And that's what we imagine. We're going to be that person trying to sell the broken used car that's going to break down. We imagine we're going to be the ones doing that. It's like, no, you're selling something that you're putting your creative passions into. So I'm going to give you some tips around this in terms of how to show up and market authentically. The first one is that you are your business. I go on and on about this. I know on the weekly trainings, I'm sure Alana and Riri, you're like, yep, you talk about that one a lot, Logan. It's you are your business. So that means that you need to show up yourself. And for most people, that's kind of hard and scary and difficult. Most people don't want to be dancing on TikTok. Here's me and my business. Well, good news is you don't have to do that. That's okay. But what we do encourage you to do is find ways to show up in your business. Now, if we're talking specifically about social media, that could be about having you in a post occasionally. Could be 1 in 10 posts, could have you. Now, it doesn't need to be front photo of you there with a big smile, a big cheesy grin. It could be, right? It's an option, but there could be ways of bringing you into the business. Photos over the shoulder, photos of you working, your hand, right? And you can build up your confidence so that you can show up there in different ways. It's probably not going to feel natural anyway, right? And I know, our Instagram has a lot of me on it, right? And even though I've been doing it for years, it still feels a bit weird sometimes. And that's actually okay, but I have to show up. Now, I've got a different type of business from all of you because I'm running a coaching business. Of course, I'm showing up a lot, but really you showing up at least sometimes is really going to help. Sometimes I go on people's websites, creatives' websites, and I look at them and I don't know who the person is. I'm like, who am I working with? Who, like, people are hiring you. People are working with people. So they need a personal connection. All right. I wouldn't hire someone to work on my business if I didn't know who they were, because I can't build trust. So part of you showing up is building trust. Is there images of you on your about page? Is it written from you? Right? This is really important to think about as well. So, how to market authentically is important. Also, it's something that I sometimes say to our clients is don't act like a robot, right? Yes, we get our clients using template emails and things like that as well, and that's great, but they still need to personalize things. Right? We all get it. I'm sure everyone here gets spam messages in the Instagram, which are like, hey, do you want to sign up for this collaboration thing? But it's very spammy, right? Like most people are up for collaborations or connecting with people, but you can just tell it's just like the same thing. It's just that it's not a genuine connection, right? And genuine connection is really, really important because that's actually what people want. They want authenticity. People don't want to just actually be treated like a robot. So you shouldn't be acting like a robot in your business either. So, something that we really encourage with all forms of clients, whether that's marketing, sending emails, direct messaging, whatever it is, create genuine conversation first. Actually, if you're going to cold email people, write something about them, personalized message about them or their business and about what you've seen and that, rather than just like, here's me, here's my business. It's like, actually be interested in them as well. So that genuine side is really, really important as well. I'd love to hear some of your thoughts around this, Alana, in terms of this authenticity and balancing that side of the business.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I know I hear from a lot of my creative friends that they don't want to share what they're doing or their wins. And I think a big mindset shift is to realize that sharing wins is not bragging, it's inspiring others. And that's always how I come towards my social media. I want to inspire others to show them that they can build a life out of a creative career. They can do what they love and have a wonderful time doing it. I also like sharing what I'm excited or joyful about, and I hope it's coming across in a very non-salesy way. I know that a lot of my business comes from people knowing, liking, and trusting me. So I want to share more of my personality. I try to come from a place of helpfulness as well, helping educate people on business, on even art tips and stuff like that, working with clients. I want to be helpful. I want to help help other people build a life of joy like I have, because I'm just so lucky and blessed. And it's been a hard road, but I believe everybody can get there.
It's amazing, and it's so important to celebrate these things, because like what Alana is sharing here is this is about being genuine, being real. And that's actually what we all want in our connections we all have, whether we're talking about our business connections, our personal connections, whatever that is. We want something real. We don't want just another robot reference of something that's blatantly not real. Right? We want the connections as well. So I absolutely love that. Awesome. Hey, we're gonna be sharing our final point for the webinar, and after that, we're gonna jump into Q&A. So, look, we have had some people pre-submit questions. So we've got those ones there. Look, if you do have a question you want to ask, it could be related to the topics we're talking about, it could be other things within creative business. Please post that question in the chat now or in the next few minutes, and we'll cover as many questions as we can. We might not get through everything before the hour is up, but we'll do our best. So feel free to pop things in the chat now, and then I'm going to share our final point of the webinar. And we're going to talk about, and once again, a beautiful segue onto this next topic, because we're going to be talking about wins again as well. So the final point here is around building confidence in your business. Now, I think when we hear the word confidence, sometimes people think, oh, well, I'm either a confident person or I'm not. And you're just like born with confidence or you're not. Well, no, it's not actually true. No, confidence is something that you can develop, grow, learn, get better at. I think we can all argue that, yes, some people maybe naturally find it easier to be confident, maybe naturally learn faster, or because of their upbringing, but everyone we know can increase their level of confidence. Now, I want everyone to here to think about confidence as a skill, not just this thing you have or have not. Just like learning to post on social media or do reels is a skill. Increasing your confidence is also a skill and something you can physically work on and grow. It's also an essential thing to growing a creative business, is to work on their confidence. Right? We work with a lot of people who actually what they need to do is they need to increase their confidence. Yes, it's about the strategy and the tactics and the tools and the mindset and all the other things that we're helping them with, but it's also about just bringing up their own self-belief, their self-confidence around this. So, I'm going to share a few tips. These are really important tips. They're pretty simple around what you can do this week, this month, to increase your feeling of confidence. First one, Alana's already mentioned and referenced, which is celebrating wins. This is something we actually do on all of our weekly trainings we run as part of our programs, is get people celebrating wins. And yeah, it's hard. It's hard to celebrate wins. We all feel like we're bragging and, oh, look at me, look over here. And it's like, no, you need to celebrate wins because it's going to help you boost your confidence, and do it with supportive people, supportive community. So it's a really important part of it. And I'm talking about small wins as well as big wins. We need to tell our brains, hey, you're winning. you're doing well, even if it's a small win. Right? We had a client the other day who shared, I made my bed this morning. Amazing. We all celebrated. We had big claps. We had, we had a bit of a laugh, but we were like, it's important. Right? That is a win. We had another client who was like, I just booked a client and got paid $4,000 for a book club with client. We were like, oh, so amazing. Like we celebrated that just as hard as we did those small things, because those small boosts also build the confidence, which is going to get you those bigger opportunities as well. So, I'm a big one for celebrating those big or small wins. It's so, so important. The other thing to think about around how to build confidence is that community stuff again. Surround yourself with like-minded people. And this is a huge thing that people do need to do when they're in that journey of growing their business. Most people we speak to are like, my friends, my family don't really fully get it. Right? They don't, the it, it's hard to describe what the it is, but they just don't quite understand what I'm doing. Yes, they care for me and they love me and they want me to be happy and all those things. They don't necessarily get it. And the conversation you want to have about your challenges and your fears and your worries, they're not always going to fully relate. They might be like caring and helpful and share their perspectives, and that's great, but they're not going to fully understand. So surrounding yourself with a like-minded group of people at similar points in the journey, but also further ahead of you in the journey and behind you in the journey that you can support is such an important part of that as well. And we've really seen it. It's a big part of what we do as well, is we really build a community around our programs too, of people, because we want people to talk to each other, communicate, get to know each other, help each other out as well. And it's absolutely phenomenal what the power of that community does for people's confidence. That thing alone is absolutely huge, increasing people's confidence when it comes to these things. I'm going to share one more bonus thing around building confidence. And I think this one's kind of an interesting one when it comes to what we can and can't do each day. And it's basically doing what you say you will do. Right? So if you do what you say you're going to do, you're going to increase your confidence. Now let's think about this. I'm actually not talking about what you're saying to your friends or other people. Well, that kind of helps too. But I'm talking about what you tell yourself you're going to do. Right? So let's imagine tonight, if I say, right, tomorrow morning, Logan, you're going to wake up at 7 a.m. and you're going to leap out of bed and you're going to go do yoga for 15 minutes, and then you're going to jump into some journaling, and then you're going to go have coffee at Starbucks. Right? That's the plan. Now, when I wake up at 7 a.m. in the morning, if I do not do that and I snooze my alarm and say, well, I had a bit of a rough sleep last night, I might just sleep a little bit more, all of that. Well, one of the challenges with that is that my confidence in myself is going to drop slightly, because my subconscious mind is like, oh, you said you were going to do this thing and now you're not doing it. So next time I go to say, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to build a successful business, my subconscious mind is going to be like, well, you sometimes don't do the things you say you're going to do. Right? So I'm all for balance. I'm all for wellness. Sometimes we need to sleep in. I'm not saying you need to get up at 5 a.m. to have a successful business. No, of course, balance these things. But actually, it's around making sure that whatever you're saying to yourself, you do commit and you do that. And that might say, tomorrow morning, I'm going to wake up at 8 a.m. and I'm not going to do these things. I'm going to rest. Right, do that. And that's going to build your confidence as well. So this is a really interesting thing. Yes, it's about commitments with others and clients and those things too. If we commit to things and we do them, that's going to build confidence. But I think it's also about the stories we tell ourselves as well. And sometimes, actually, most people are pretty bad at this because they overcommit. I'm going to do this, and this. And it's kind of like things they want to hopefully do, but they treat them like the things they're going to do. And when they don't do them, at the end of the day, they're like, I am a failure. And that self-talk is reducing your level of confidence. So it's a really interesting thing we really need to think about and really lean into as well. Riri, would love to hear your thoughts about this, because I know, confidence has been part of your journey, like all of our clients as well.
Yeah. So I feel like my confidence is always a work in progress. And one thing that I struggle with was like showing my face on my social media. And something that I've been doing to grow my confidence in that area is like showing myself, whether that's like drawing and showing a little bit of my hand or over the shoulder, like, and then I've been like kind of more encroaching into like showing my full face a lot more. It still like feels awkward, but I feel like at least I'm taking action on that. And also like one other thing that has been really building my confidence is like professionalism in terms of communicating with your clients goes a long way. So like branding your business from your contracts to your website so it all looks cohesive makes it seem like you know what you're doing, even if you might not. It just seems like, oh, this person's really invested in their business. So yeah, I highly suggest like branding everything.
I love this. Amazing. And I was just having a good read of the chat as well as you were speaking then, Riri, and so many good things being talked about here and lots of chats around community and building confidence, all these good things there as well. And I actually just wanted to briefly touch on something because Angela, you mentioned it here in the chat, like community can be really intimidating when you're just starting. And I think everyone can totally agree with you. Is like, I don't know, like a friend said to me, we had a bit of a joke. A friend said to me recently, like, oh man, it's so weird building friendships when you're like this age in life, whether that's in your 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, whatever age you are, like it's weird. Like it's so when you're young, when you're at primary school, high school, whatever, middle school, it's like it's so much easier. You walk up to people, you're like, do you want to be my friend? And they're like, yeah, sure. But like when you're, when you're in your career life, you're like, that's kind of weird. You can't really do that. Well, I'm like, well, you probably can actually. We just hold ourselves back. But I think this is really interesting is that a lot of people do find that, right? Community is intimidating. This idea of connecting with people is scary. This is where something beautiful with connecting online is this is a huge way to connect. Now, obviously, this is not quite the same as maybe us all being in a lecture theatre together, but actually, it's also kind of beautiful that we get to connect from around the world. So sometimes connecting from the safety of your own home can actually just be less intimidating. And that's one of the things that I love about communities like this and connecting is we've got these ways. A lot of people build connection through Instagram. They might not walk up to someone at a networking event or a party because that's terrifying, but they might connect with them on Instagram online and have some great connections there as well. So, I think like anything, community can be intimidating for sure. And it's really about tiptoeing into it. How can we start to build community as well? And I see, some good comments here, Liz. Absolutely, community is a big part of the programs that we do as well. And I think it's something that often, when people looking at working with us, they hear that there's a community part and they're like, oh, that's a nice bonus, right? And I always laugh with people about it. They're like, oh, bonus, great, I get to meet some people. And then they're in like week 2 and they're like, Liz, they're like, oh my goodness, everyone is amazing and so supportive and lovely. And most people we work with are pretty nervous about connecting with others, but it's just so welcoming. So, I think community, however you do it, whether it's through a program or build it yourself, it's such an essential part of growing and also building confidence in yourself as well. So love that. It's exactly, Brittany, what you've shared in chat there is really interesting. Come for the coaching and the knowledge, stay for the community. We hear that a lot. Awesome. All right, team, we do have time for questions. So we're going to jump straight into that. Look, those of you that are interested in that freebie coaching call, I'll just share that link again in the chat. We will make sure when we send out emails and the recording afterwards, these links are in there as well, the survey. So if you want to do that, we'll be leaving that open for the rest of the week. We'd love you to fill that in. And as I said, we'll be getting some people on some freebie calls, which is fantastic. Look, some of the questions we got sent in, I think this first one here is a really good one that we're going to jump into from Britt. Now, Britt said, how to get started, how to really move from having a full-time job to being full-time in your business. This is incredibly hard, right? Because most people who have full-time jobs are pretty busy, right? It's a full-time job. That means it's probably taking most hours day and night. And some people have to commute. Some people have to balance caring for family. Some people have other things. So how do you ever find time to build a creative business? So sometimes what people think is, okay, well, I am going to do the big leap. I'm going to quit the full-time job and start the business. Now, people do this and it can work. What we generally see is that it puts people into a massive state of scarcity, resistance, and fear because you suddenly don't have a secure income. Even if you have savings, there's nothing harder than seeing your savings just drop when you don't have some security. So our approach very much is let's not just throw away the day job and do the scary, crazy thing. It's like, let's build up the business as much as we can while you have that security of the day job. Right? It's an important approach. And a lot of people we work with are like, I don't have lots of time. We're like, that's cool. Let's use the time that we do have and let's get effective and efficient about it. Let's get smart about it. Because you might have only 5 hours per week maximum you can spend on growing your creative business. Let's use those 5 hours because in 3 months time, 6 months time, your business is going to be at a point where you can seriously look at actually leaving your day job. What we tend to see, those of you that are in day jobs right now thinking about this, we tend to see it takes usually 6 to 18 months to leave the day job, like building the business on the side. Now, that's a really rule of thumb. We've seen people do it in 3 months. We've seen people who decide to take 2 years. But generally, for most people who are like doing a little bit of stuff already, when they end up working with us and we help them really move forward, that tends to be the time frame. A lot of people, it's about a year. So, that's something to think about as well. But it's really about building up however you can on the side of having that day job. So, I just really wanted to share that piece of that. It's about learning while you can. It's about building up the business to a point where you can get things in place. Even if you're not earning thousands and thousands from your business while you have your day job, because it's probably going to be pretty hard to do both, actually you earning some money there is going to start to prove to you that if you took away your day job and you had more time, you could increase that faster because you now know what to do with your time. You know how to market. You've taken time to learn and grow your mindset and build your confidence rather than like, I'm just going to quit everything and then figure it out. It's like you're in for a tough 6 months to a year of trying to figure it out yourself and probably having very low money during that time, seeing any savings that you have really decreasing or having to have others support you. Now, everyone's in a different position. We've worked with people who have done that and it's been fine, but there's been, once again, often savings or supportive people. And we've had to say to them, look, it's going to take time. Like you're not going to just be able to suddenly be earning 5 to 10K straight away. It's probably not going to happen in the next 3 months, but that's something we can certainly work towards. So just wanted to jump into that question. Next question we're going to jump into here, I think is a really good one, which is basically around having realistic deadlines. So this is from Julia, realistic deadlines for clients and myself. And we've kind of alluded to this a little bit during the training, but what Julia was sharing is, often things get delayed. There's a lot of stress. There's deadlines that have to get pushed, with Julia's own work, but also with the clients themselves. So, and it's hard because then suddenly you have to create to a deadline or you're getting behind and the creative process gets messed up as well. Because what we all know is that the creative process sometimes doesn't like to work to deadline. And if you feel pressure to deliver, suddenly the creative process can get really hard. So we've really got to balance these things. Look, the first tips I would give you, Julia, first one there is to really make sure you've got clear boundaries in place for yourself and for your clients. And typically, we work with people at lots of different stages. Often when people are already working with clients, we tend to see that a lot of people don't have very good boundaries with their clients because they want to be there. They're like, oh, well, I need this job, this opportunity, this contract. So therefore, I'm available all the time. You can call me whenever you want. The problem with that is that they will call you whenever they want. And you will get annoyed with it. You will get frustrated and it'll probably affect your ability to deliver them good work. Actually, if you have clear boundaries, they will stick to them and they'll probably be pretty happy with them as well. Right? If you say to people, hey, I'm only going to be available via email, you can't just call me at random times. People will be like, oh yeah, makes sense, fair enough. Right? If you want to be available in other ways, you can. You get to decide these things. I'm not saying you have to do it that way. Or if you decide, I'm only available half of the week. I don't work Fridays. I'm never going to reply to email things on Fridays. If you let people know that and you have those clear, well-communicated boundaries, clients will be like, amazing, enjoy your Fridays. It's so cool that you take Fridays off or whatever it is. Amazing. Even though in your mind, you're like, I need to be available, all day and all night and all weekends, and actually balance those things is hard. But, this is probably a big one there as well. Actually, Alana, I might get you to add some thoughts around this from your experiences too. I'll share a couple more things, but, we'll get you to share there too, because I know it's been managing boundaries is important for people in their businesses. One other thing I will mention around boundaries is just to schedule your time really carefully. So it's kind of related to boundaries is like I said earlier, some people need to treat their business that they can work whenever they want like a day job, right? I'm going to take Wednesdays off. I'm going to take middle of the week off, or I'm going to take Saturday, Sunday off. I'm going to finish work at 5 p.m. I'd love to hear, Alana, just some of your experiences and any thoughts around your reflections on these things.
Yeah, for sure. I love setting boundaries with clients. I even write them into my contracts. Like I say, at sketch stage, you get 3 rounds of changes. That's it. Past that, you pay an hourly rate. You gotta be upfront and just communicate, and people are okay with them. And once it's in writing, it's solidified. I find if you get wishy-washy and you think, oh, this is a friend, we can do without a contract, all of a sudden it'll spiral into, you know, late night calls and texts and panic and on their end. And yeah, and it's just not healthy for anyone. So I think setting boundaries is definitely very important, and to do it up front too, rather than throughout the process.
It's huge. I absolutely love that, you know, like actually making it clear, because yeah, I like my belief, and I think everyone here will agree when we really think about it, is that most people in the world are not out there to take advantage of, right? Yes, there's some bad eggs, as we call them, some bad eggs in the world. We know that, but you know, we sometimes see our clients being like, oh, you know, this client, and they called me at 7 p.m. on a Friday. How dare they? And they should have known better. And I'm like, have you communicated clearly that you're not available? And I'm also like, why did you answer the phone? Like, that's also
And
your
sometimes
own
they're just
boundary.
excited too, right?
Totally.
They're just excited about the project.
They're like, amazing, and hey, just this quick thing. You're like, bro. It's like, well, you know, we get to, and actually that's a really good addition there to that for everyone here to think about, is set the boundaries like Alana's talking about here, put them in the contracts. Your job is to now hold those boundaries, right? And I'm talking about when that, you might say to the client in the contract, clearly, I'm only available during these times. Please don't call me at Friday night on 7 p.m. You probably don't need to be that specific, but if they do call you at Friday night on 7 p.m., if you answer, you're telling them, hey, it's okay if you overstep my boundaries. So they're more likely to overstep other boundaries as well. So that's just something we need to manage ourselves, is those boundaries. Now, there might be times where you decide to pick up the phone on a Friday night. It's fine. You get to decide these things. You've just got to be aware that we're balancing the boundaries with the clients. We're also balancing the boundaries with ourselves and setting those things up, and actually being really honest with yourself in terms of what you can commit to in your business and what you can't. Right? Everyone needs breaks. Everyone needs time off. Everyone needs rest. And we really need to balance these things as well. I know everyone we work with is incredibly passionate about their dreams, their goals, building their business. And I'm like, yep, but you also need to rest. You need to sleep well. You need to eat well. You need to spend your time with friends and family. You need to smell the roses on this journey, not just work towards some pinnacle of something that you'll hope to get to. So, and I think, you know, these are good points for us to kind of wrap up today on as well. So apologies if we didn't quite get to everyone's questions today. I think quite a few of the other questions we got were actually covered during the training as well. So look, honestly, just so lovely to connect with everyone today. It's been an absolute blast. We'll wrap up in the next couple of minutes. What I would love everyone here to do is just to share in the chat one takeaway from today. What's one thing that you've learned or found fascinating or interesting? It's going to really help consolidate the learnings for other people as well. So if everyone here can just share that in the chat, and we've got lots of people probably watching the recording as well. We know we get lots of people watching these recordings. So, you know, if you're watching the recording, write down right now. Hey, what is a takeaway you've got from today that's going to really help you? I love this. So we're just getting a few things shared in the chat here. Bree sharing, yes, boundaries 100%. Absolutely, Bree. I love that. Fantastic. Leah's sharing, marketing equals sharing. That is honestly a huge one. I love that. And let's see if we can rebrand it. There we go. I love that. Jill there, action, not distraction. Hey, Jill, good to see you. Amazing. Anya sharing, done is better than perfect. Oh, it's such a good one. And like, yeah, done is better than perfect. Imperfect action. Another one a friend says is good enough, right? Is it good enough? Not perfect, but is it good enough, right? We don't want to put rubbish into the world, but we want to put stuff that's good enough. And that could look like pretty perfect to most people as well. Karine sharing, learning a lot today, learning hopefully to be more confident on social media, show up. Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that. Angela sharing, celebrating, show up for your business deeper. I love that. Liz sharing, you can put boundaries in a contract. Yeah, you can put all sorts of stuff in a contract, actually. It's really incredible as well within that. So look, we're going to wrap up. I'll just briefly let Alana say thank you, and then Riri say thank you as well. So Alana, it's been a blast running this today with you.
Thank you, Logan. Thank you everybody for showing up. And like I said, I totally believe in just the value that Logan and his team bring to this program. It's absolutely incredible, and it has just revolutionized my business.
Appreciate that. And then Riri, will get you to do your wrap up as well. You'll just need to pop yourself off the mute there, Riri. Yeah.
Whoops. Thank you everyone who came. Yeah, I also agree with Alana. It was such a game changer joining Logan's program. If anyone has any questions, like I'm free to like answer anything over DM on my Instagram. I think Alana as well. So yeah.
Amazing. Appreciate that. And thank you, Lana and Riri, for having me along to share with your amazing audiences as well. Hey, we're going to send out the recording. If anyone does want to do that survey and get, chance to get one of those freebie calls, fill that survey and we'll make sure we share the link afterwards as well. Such a delight, everyone. Take care. Have a fantastic week and we're catching up with many of you soon. Amazing. Take care. Bye everyone.